So part of a new year beginning is looking ahead to what it has in store. And we just recapped my favorite movies of 2024. So I want to give you guys my 10 most anticipated movies of 2025. Hey, what's up, everybody? Nick here, and today I want to give you guys my 10 most anticipated movies of 2025. Now, these are not all going to be horror, but you're going to see a lot of horror on this list, and that's for good reason. I'm a horror guy, and I think 2024 was actually a really solid year, not just for horror, but for movies in general, and I'm happy to say that 2025 is shaping up to be another year just like that. So coming in at number 10 is going to be Predator: Badlands. Now, I am a Predator fan. I'm an Alien fan. I have been since I was a kid. That was just part of my generation. You grew up on AVP, those video games, like you just became a fan. Also, I feel like every generation is a fan of the original Predator and the original Alien, but I digress. Look, I loved Prey. I know that there was this weird contention of people that was very loud online about how they didn't like it because they felt it was whatever the hell their weird complaint is these days, but I really enjoyed it, and I think it was a huge missed opportunity by 20th Century Fox to drop that on Hulu. Not because the quality meant that it should go to Hulu, but because it could have made a lot of money in theaters, and they just didn't do it, which seriously makes no sense to me. We just saw Alien Romulus make over $250 million worldwide, and you're telling me that a good Predator film couldn't have come close to that? I'm not buying it. But look, Predator: Badlands is probably going to be good. You have the same creative team involved. I don't know if it's a direct sequel to Prey or if it's just like another side story in that universe, but I'm in. I'm game. They have shown me that they have redeemed the Predator franchise. After the awful The Predator film, Prey was a breath of fresh air, and I'm really excited for Predator: Badlands. Coming in at number 9 is probably going to be one that might surprise some of you guys if you know me, because I'm not a huge fan of this series at all. But number 9 is 28 Years Later. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of 28 Days Later at all. I actually just genuinely don't like the movie. 28 Weeks Later is fine, but it's still not a movie that I'm going to turn on and just have fun with. Like, that's just not my movie. I've never had a lot of love for this series. Having said that, the trailer for 28 Years Later looks awesome, and the cast is awesome, and I'm excited to see how they bring in Cillian Murphy again. Like, there's just a lot about this that I'm really looking forward to, and that trailer grabbed me. And that's one thing that we don't talk enough about these days when it comes to whether or not you're going to go see a movie. Marketing still plays a huge role in that, and I'm happy to say that 28 Years Later has got somebody that wasn't looking forward to it at all mildly excited for it. Coming in at number 8 is going to be the return of a franchise that I have loved for so long and has caused so much anxiety over the years for me, and that is Final Destination: Bloodlines. And it has to be said that this is going to also be the last role that Tony Todd filmed before he passed away, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be bittersweet there, but it'll be really nice to see Tony on screen in a role that he has just ate up from the very beginning, and it'll just be really nice to see this series back. Look, if you're a Final Destination fan or you grew up in the era that I did, the late 90s, early 2000s, these movies traumatized you. They made you afraid of flying. They made you afraid of driving behind log trucks. We still don't. They made some people afraid of roller coasters. Whatever it may be, Final Destination is such an ingenious franchise with its kills, with death's methodology, with the opening sequences. I just cannot wait to see this franchise come back. All it has to do is be better than the fourth one, and it's worth it. Now at number 7 is going to be a sequel that I do not know how this is going to work, especially with the returning cast, but The Black Phone 2. Look, I was a big fan of The Black Phone. I sang that movie's praises when it first came out. I thought that they just don't really make movies like that often anymore, and I loved Ethan Hawke in the film. But based off of the way the first one ended, I don't know how you're going to make a direct continuation of that movie. Like, it genuinely makes my head hurt trying to think about how are they going to do that. But nevertheless, I'm going to be there because that first film was led by some great performances and it left so many questions. I want to know more about this guy. I want to know more about this world. So if nothing else, even if it's a little far-fetched how he maybe or maybe didn't survive the end of the first film, I want to see this fleshed out more, this character specifically, because I think there's a lot of meat on the bone there. Now in spot number 6 is another requel that has long been rumored and is finally happening. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, I've talked about these movies a little bit on my channel over the years. I've never been a huge fan of this series. Look, I love the first movie. I have a lot of love for it. I think anybody that grew up in the 90s does have a lot of love for that movie. It's not Scream, but it's a lot like Scream, and it fit that time period so well. So bringing this back, especially with the major players coming back, Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr., I'm really intrigued. There have been requels that have worked really well. Scream is an example of that. I thought that they rebooted that series while keeping the connective tissue from the originals. They did that really well. So I think that I Know What You Did Last Summer can do the same thing. But it's all going to come down to what new do you have to offer? Is it just going to be nostalgia and playing off of things that we already know and love, or are you going to also have new things to say? Regardless, even though I'm not a huge fan of the series, I got a lot of love for that first movie. Hey, wait, got a second? Before you finish the rest of this video, have you guys considered subscribing to my Patreon? If you go over to patreon.com/The Lost River Drive-In, you can become a patron for as little as $1 a month. And what that gives you is early access to every video I do. You get early access to every You Need a Horror podcast episode, and also, beginning in 2025, a monthly patron poll where you guys are going to get to decide a topic for a video once a month. So for $1 a month, why not support your boy and support the channel? Head on over to patreon.com/The Lost River Drive-In and make it happen. Now we're into my top 5. In my top 5, these are movies that I am anxiously awaiting. I cannot wait to see them. And coming in at number 5 is going to be Jurassic World Rebirth. Now, for some of you guys, you might go, how on earth could anybody be looking forward to this? We needed a break after Dominion. That movie was terrible. I mean, if you know me, you know that I actually didn't hate Dominion. It's the weakest of the 3 in the new trilogy, but I still had a good time with it. But Gareth Edwards is directing, and I trust Gareth Edwards with my life. He's done a lot of things that I genuinely love. Scarlett Johansson is in the lead role. Tobin Bell. I'm intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued. This is also not just a straight up sequel to Dominion. This is going to obviously continue after that movie, but it's going to chart its own way forward, and it's going to have a lot of new things to say. And that, above all else, is what I'm looking forward to. Plus, even at 30 years old, I'm a kid at heart, and you put big dinos on the screen fighting each other, as long as it looks good, I'm in. So yeah, give me a Jurassic World movie every year. I don't care. I'm going to be there. Coming in at number 4 is quite a controversial one, and I understand why, but I'm kind of getting sick of the discourse about it, and that is Superman. Look, just going to say this out there, guys. The way the DCEU has gone, the way all of this has been handled over the last decade or so has been a freaking mess. The fact that we are rebooting so many different things is just absurd to me. We're recasting people from roles that a lot of people love them in, even if they didn't love the movie. It's a mess. The only way to get people to care about it again is to really come out swinging when you reboot this thing. And Superman is really going to be the beginning of that. The first major live-action theatrical release in the new DC universe. Now, I watched the trailer just like I'm sure everybody living did, and I have always thought that David Corenswet was a perfect choice for Superman. I love Henry Cavill, and I love what he did with the character, but if we're going to have to do somebody new based off of where we are now, I think David Corenswet is a good choice. I think it's got a solid cast all around, and quite frankly, I really liked the trailer. I liked the vibe of it, and I think it captures what Superman has always been, a symbol of hope, and I dig that. I really do. So, even though I have not seen many of James Gunn's films, I know he is a talented filmmaker, especially with comic book movies. And this is not to say that the DCU is going to work, but I think this movie might work, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. Coming in at number 3 is going to be one that some of you guys may not know even exists, but it has wrapped filming, and that is Now You See Me 3. Look, I love the Now You See Me movies. I watched these years ago on streaming one day when I was bored, and I was like, oh, Jesse Eisenberg, I'll give it a try. And I'm so glad that I did. These movies are so freaking fun. The ensemble cast here is great. A lot of the magic tricks and just the heist of all of it is so ingenious, and it really keeps you guessing. I always am watching these movies going, how did they do this? How did they do that? I can't wait to figure this out. It really keeps you on your toes. It's a thinking person's movie, I would say. And I love those kind of movies. Now, the first one is definitely leaps and bounds better than the second one, but I still really enjoy the second one. So knowing that they're doing a third one and they're bringing everybody back for it is just like, I freaking can't wait. Now You See Me 2 was definitely a step down, but I still liked it, and I was eager for another one, so I cannot wait for next fall when we finally get the third one. And I'm not just saying this, it is wrapped filming. Jesse Eisenberg confirmed it. This movie's happening. Now coming in at my number 2 spot is going to be Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Look, let's just say that tagline, total BS. It's not going to be the last one. Tom Cruise had said a couple years ago that he was going to do 2 more. This was before Dead Reckoning came out. Then he was like, you know what? I want to do this till I'm 80. The reason that they're doing it with this title specifically is to try to bring people to come see it. They want them to think that it's Tom Cruise's swan song because the last one didn't do so well. The last one didn't do so well for a number of reasons. You released it a week before Barbie and Oppenheimer, like, are you dumb? Also, it was titled Part 1, so people were like, I'll just wait for Part 2. That's not to say that Dead Reckoning wasn't good, because it's very good. This was the first movie in the series that wasn't as good as the previous one, but I'd probably still take it over the one before that. Fallout is the peak of this series, but Dead Reckoning was great, and I love Tom Cruise in these movies. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think him in the role of Ethan Hunt has always just been friggin' money, so I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with The Final Reckoning. And now the number 1 spot. My most anticipated movie of 2025 is going to be The Conjuring: Last Rites. And this may shock some of you guys because you know that I wasn't a huge fan of The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It. I think it's a good movie overall, and I didn't hate myself for watching it, but I really walked away from that movie wishing it was a lot like the first 2. And I think that's why The Last Rites is my most anticipated, because I have so much love for those first 2 movies. They're some of my favorite horror movies ever. I love Patrick and Vera in the roles, and I just really want them to go out strong here. I'm having hope that they will. That doesn't mean they will, but let me have hope until the movie comes out and we see the final product. It breaks my heart that this is going to be it for them because I think they were born for these roles. And I know the Warrens have a ton of stories that you could adapt. But these movies are a slog for a lot of these people involved. They take a while, and doing 4 now at this point, technically 5 if you count Annabelle Comes Home, I'm sure they want to hang it up too. Until maybe 10 years from now and we get like a requel or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, The Conjuring: Last Rites is absolutely my most anticipated because I'm just not ready to say goodbye, and I really need this to be better than The Devil Made Me Do It. So that is it. That is my 10 most anticipated movies of 2025. Now, I have eclectic tastes. I'm different in a lot of ways. I know that some of the movies I'm looking forward to, some of you guys probably do not care at all about. And that is the beauty of this. We can bounce ideas off of each other and talk about why we're looking forward to something and why we're not, why we're dreading something and why we didn't know something was coming out. All of those things are fun to talk about, and it's always so great to have those conversations leading into the beginning of the year that potentially has a lot of promise. But I want to hear down below what you guys thought of my list. Are these some of your most anticipated movies? Am I missing some that you personally cannot wait to see? Please discuss it down below in the comment section with me. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe to my channel. It takes like half a second. Come on, if you're not already, what are you doing? Thank you so much for watching. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.